right. So this is going to be a really good week, and we get to choose it. I think a lot of we kind of had a little crappy old weekend, but it was actually a good one. Unfortunately, we had a cousin of ours pass, and Craig and Dad and we all flew over to Houston for the weekend. So obviously, terrible reason to go, but got to see a lot of family, got to see a lot of cousins I haven't seen in a long time, and got to reconnect. And so it's unfortunate. A lot of times when people gather, they gather for things that aren't fun. So we're changing that, and we're going to form a family reunion coming up this summer. And we're going to rent out the Schooner Hotel, and we're going to fill it full of beggins, and we're going to shock the Tampa Bay area because there'll be like a lot of us, and it's scary. So there's fair warning that will be coming this summer on that one. So, but
they actually move out of state just because of that. Like that's kind of funny.
Yep. But I'll tell you, little things like that do put all things back into perspective, or a lot of times it does. Just how precious life really is, and are you doing what you want to be doing, and are you having fun, and do you like it, and if not, what are you gonna do to change it, right? And then you look at opportunities. All the things that we can do is just sitting in front of us. So always a good time to sit down, plane, start thinking, do primary aims, do all those good things in the process, and just kind of recalibrate. So that's fun to do. And so I hope you guys are doing that also every quarter, and making sure you know what's going to happen this week, because I got my schedule done first thing this morning, realized I triple booked a few things, moving things around, reshuffling, and just got everything poised out to have the best week I've ever had in my entire life. And that's what I'm going to do this week. And I hope you guys are doing the same, because what's the alternative, right? And having fun, making money, doing what we're doing, and just loving it. So that is the game plan we want. So we were going to chat today about some cool things, because rather than talk about things we normally talk about, Puma was like, let's talk about a couple of different things. So we want to come up with a few scenarios and dig into our toolbox, right? And come up with what's some cool things that we have that probably you guys don't have top of mind, but you should at least have top of mind awareness of them and know where to go to do the deep dive when the time comes. So where do you want to start with that one? Because I think it's going to be a lot of fun this morning.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of this came to my head so every Friday we have our little BE3 huddle, right? Which just our BE3 agents, just like, most of our offices have their own little weekly call. We have ours on Friday, and on Friday it kind of hit me, right? Because we had one of our agents was going through a scenario, right, where they had a challenging issue with a client where they just, the client was qualified, but wanted to buy the house that they were currently renting, and perhaps, may not get it, right, based on the offer that they were wanting to put in, and there's financing involved and all of these other scenarios. And I think, then we said, well, what are your other options, right? Does that individual have other options available to them? And the answer is, with us, yes, right? That agent has a lot of tools in his toolbox that he could potentially use in that challenging situation of, hey, there's going to be multiple offers on this property. You're a financed contingent buyer that likely will not win, and you don't want to move. So what are our options? Well, yes, you're qualified to buy, but could we use a scenario like Home Partners to put in an all cash offer, and then you buy it from them when the time is right, but now you're an all cash offer instead of finance? Could you use a program like what's the other one we talked about? Why am I blanking? The one that turns into all cash. No, the we're meeting with them this week.
Ribbon.
Could you use Ribbon?
Yep.
Right, 1% on the deal is going to take finance contingency off the table. So these are the things that started hitting me during that call, that we have these programs available to you guys that sometimes we don't think about, right? Because they're not necessarily a direct path to where you're headed down. However, they could provide a really unique solution. So that's kind of what we want to talk about. We've got so many different options, and really no matter what your client's challenge is, whether it's, I was having a conversation with a buddy over the weekend because we're getting ready to list his home. And his biggest concern going into this was, well, I know my house will sell quickly, but we don't know where we want to move. And so instantly my brain went to knock, right? No problem. I have a solution for that problem, right? So those are the things that I think for me are a little bit more top of mind because I'm a lot of times involved in building those partnerships. So for me, it's top of mind, but for a lot of our agents, it quickly became a realization of mine that it's not always top of mind, and we're not always aware of how those programs work and how they can fill that. So that's really what we wanted to talk about today and go through some different scenarios and programs.
As a result of this, let's chat a little bit later today too. Let's get an infographic together on the specific scenarios and what specific tool we have, specialty ones. Tammy just wrote a Divvy, and I want to sideline on that one for just a second. Divvy, Home Partners, whatever it may be. There's pros and cons to each of them. They're both great programs, right? So, but I was talking with another agent and I saw a classic mistake happen, right? And this is something we need to really be careful of. I was overhearing a conversation where the agent was trying to talk the buyer into why their way of thinking was incorrect, right? Which first of all should put up big warning signs. And the person was arguing about, he thinks the market's is gonna shift. He thinks it's gonna crash. He's gonna wait for a while. It's not gonna do anything like that. And that's his thinking, but he needed to buy a house. And I heard every argument of why it's not, why the iBuyers are still buying interest rates. So all the very valid arguments as to why economy strength, consumer confidence, all that other stuff, but it's irrelevant. Like people are like themselves. So if this guy believes the market's going to take a crap and it's a terrible time to buy, right? Why are you going to fight him? What's the point? Because you're going to look like a combative ass, and internally he's not going to like you because you don't have the same thought process as he does. So it pivoted with a little sticky note, help of a nudge, saying don't fight with the guy, align with the guy, and let him hedge. If he's right, and he may be right, my crystal ball doesn't work, right? Use Divvy to buy the house for you. Use Home Partners to buy the house for you. And if you're right, you are smart because somebody else took the financial risk and you still got a home, right? And you can not move for the next 3 to 5 years and let the market crash, and you've hedged your bet and you win. Or maybe you're not right and the market appreciates. You got locked in appreciation with your option to perform, right? So don't fight. Nobody likes people that fight with them. It just, you don't. So why would you do that? So this is another way. I don't want to move so there's the Divvy, the Home Partners. I don't want to move, Mike. I should because I have so much equity in it. And I doubt the market's going to stay this hot. I wish I could take my cash and move somewhere else. I just know where I'd go. Well, you can either knock them or you could Divvy them or you can Home Partner them. You've got so many tools. And that's why we really want to dig into this right now, is just meet people where they are and pull out the right tool rather than try to sell them into something they really don't feel like doing. So I just wanted to throw that sideline out there because I think that's happening with more than one person.
But that's why it's important that in order to know what tool to pull out, you have to know what tools are in your toolbox, right? You have to know what programs are available to you, how they work, and just have these options available to you because, as Craig always says, that gives you flexibility, right? And the second you have flexibility, now we have options. And so that's the whole point of today. Between Beggins Agents, which we have the programs partnership section of Beggins Agents, goes through all of these in detail. We also have them on the Next Level Resource Center where you can do some training on them. We also have them listed on begginsrealestate.com, which is a place that you could send the landing page, that specific link, to the client. And again, they're not going anywhere, right? Because there's no forms. That's not a place that we're collecting any information. That is a site that you can use to send to your client, send them the link to the rental program, send them the link to Knox, send them the link to RealSure, send them the link to those programs, let them read about them in their own terms. And then if they're interested in that, they have to come back to you. There's nowhere else for them to go. So that's all available to you, and you have to understand these programs. You have to understand when they're used. And a lot of times, especially with these rental programs, they're not just for renters. And that's the biggest thing to get across. Just because I am looking to buy, if I am not as attractive as a buyer in this market, because we know, as the agent, it's going to be highly competitive and you're not going to win. Is there an opportunity for me to turn that offer into an all cash deal? And what will that cost me long term? And then it's a business decision. How bad do you want the house, Mr. Customer? Do you want it really bad? Because here's your options. We have a program that will turn your offer into all cash, and it's going to cost you 1% on the deal right now. You don't want to do that? Great. Well, now we have 2 rental programs. What if they buy the home all cash for you, and then you can rent for a little bit and then see what the market does, and then decide whether you want to buy. That's enough, right? So these are creative solutions to everyday challenges that your buyers are facing. So whether it's Divvy, whether it's Home Partners, those are options to heavily consider if you have a buyer right now that is not winning based on the fact that they're FHA or just, there's finance contingencies or whatever else the case is. If they're having a hard time getting an offer accepted, would it help if they were all cash? That's the first question. And if the answer is yes, then it's okay, great. Here are the 3 options that you have. You have Divvy, you have Home Partners, and you have Ribbon, all of which could technically turn you into a cash buyer. Here's the pros, cons of each. And is that something you want to do? How bad do you really want a house right now? Then it's in their court, right? But now, what have you done as their expert? You have now provided tools, solutions that most other agents don't even know exist, right? And so now you're just bringing more value to your client than anyone else can, which ultimately will serve you very well in the long run. So that's really the point we want to dive into today. So Jeff, do you want to dive into different scenarios? How do you want to do this?
Yeah, let's talk about who is the right candidate, right, for each of these things. So let's talk first of all. What do you want to do? Let's do Divvy first. Divvy
yeah,
Home
we
Park.
can do Divvy first.
Divvy
Sure.
Home Park.
We can start with Divvy.
Rent to own, right? A rent to own. Who's the right candidate for a rent to own person? Let's just talk high level for a second.
Yep. So high level, most of these programs are going to need, anywhere between a 560 and a 600 plus credit score. And that's an average, right? This is important because I ran into this the other day with somebody. They were at like 600, but their fiance, who was also going to be living. So most of these programs will require that any adult over the age of 18 that is going to be living in the home is on the application, and therefore they will pull that credit score and then they average them. So if you have somebody, so like her fiance had like a 480 credit score, well, that's a problem, right? Because it brings that average way down. So the average credit score on most of these programs needs to be about a 560 to 600 or higher. Okay, so that's the first criteria. Second criteria is most of them are going to require anywhere between 50 to 60,000 of total household income. That is between all individuals above the age of 18 contributing to the household, right? So total income, you have 2 individuals, they each need to be making 30 grand plus on average. Okay, that's the second big criteria. The third big criteria is most of the programs between Divvy and Home Partners, you need to have at least 2 to 5 weeks available to them before they need to be moved in. Now, I usually will tell them we usually need 30 to 45 days at a minimum prior to you wanting to move in. And that just gives you a buffer. Divvy will move faster. They'll do as little as a 14-day close, but Home Partners will not move on it. They're going to want 45 days from the time they put the offer in and it's accepted. So just keep that in mind. So time frame is a big deal. Both of them have backed off their dog requirement. That was always a big issue. You're right. You couldn't have quote unquote aggressive dog breeds. Most of them, Home Partners has eliminated that. They only ask that you meet the requirements of the HOAs. Some of the AAs may have pet restrictions, therefore they follow those. So that's a big thing. Now, as far as the differences between the two, there are just some core differences. With a program like Divvy, your ideal client for a Divvy is somebody who really is almost ready to buy. They've got some cash saved up and they have decent credit. They've got pretty good income and they're right on the cusp. They may even be able to buy, but their interest rate might be a little higher than what they wanted, and or there's contingencies involved and they might not be, as Jeff would put it, the perfect buyer, right, to win an offer. They might not be super attractive. So what happens though with Divvy is it is absolutely free to apply. So unlike Home Partners that has the $100 application fee, there is no application fee with them. They will do a soft credit pull and they'll have you approved within 24 to 48 hours, usually faster. Once they have you approved, they do the same thing Home Partners does. They come back and say, hey, Jeff, you're approved for $2,400 a month. We anticipate that in your market, that's going to give you a price point of $200 to $240, right? That's what they do. Then they come back and they say, great, now you go home shopping. And so it's the same thing as that. Now, here's the way it works though. I've got, based on my credit, they're going to ask that you put 1 to 2% of whatever the purchase price of the home is down as in your home savings account. So that's why with Divvy, it is important that they have a little bit of cash saved up, because it costs them a couple grand all the way up to 10 grand, depending on the price point, to put down on that home. Now, it's important that they understand that that money is still technically theirs. So what happens is then every single month, based on what that rent is that they come back with, they're contributing 5%, 2 to 5%, right? They get to pick 2 to 5% of that monthly rent is going towards that home savings account as well. Now, within the next 3 years, if they decide to purchase that property, then they get 100% of that home savings amount, the down payment that they put in, plus that 2 to 5% that they've been contributing. They get 100% of that as the down payment towards that home, right? So now they're in a really, really good position to buy that house if they want to. Now, here's the best part. They say, nope, you know what? The market's gone down, or we hate it here. Our neighbor sucks, whatever the case is. Now they say, great, we want to go buy somewhere else. Cool. Divvy will give them 98% of that money back. So the only money that they do not get back is that original 2% that they put down. They don't get that back, but all the monthly money that they've put in, they get that money back in cash that they now can go use to put down on a different property. So they are essentially, Divvy is actually helping them save for a home, whether it's the home they're living in or whether it's a home they want to buy in the future. So it's a really unique program that, is certainly an option. The only other big difference in Tampa Bay, they're only going up to 400 right now, price point wise, where Home Partners will go up to 550,000. So if you've got a client that wants a higher price point, Divvy may not be a solution for them. They may need to go with Home Partners. Home Partners, we all know that program a little bit more because we've done more business with them, but it's very similar in that you got, a $99 application fee for the entire family. They are going to apply. They're going to get a price point from them that says, hey, you're approved for $2,200 a month in rent. And then they go home shopping. You'll submit that property to Home Partners. The difference is that there is no down payment with them, just the rent deposits, but no additional 2 to 5% or anything like that. They're not contributing on a monthly basis. Instead, Home Partners is going to lock them in on day one on whatever that purchase price would be. So Home Partners is doing it via equity. So they're saying, hey, the home is likely going to go up to 5 to 6% a month, and we're only increasing our price by 3 to 4% a month. So you're getting that net difference every month in equity. And at the end, you're going to be in a good equity position to buy the house instead of you contributing dollars every month. So they're just doing it in a slightly different way. But both programs are there. Now, they're great for renters, right? They're great for somebody who, is paying that kind of money in rent, which we're seeing, right? We're seeing 2-bedroom apartments in the Tampa Bay market are the average is like $2,200 a month right now. Well, they can buy a nice home on these programs for $2,200 a month, right? I just had a client, they were about to have their rent raised to $2,600 a month in Riverview for a 2-bedroom apartment. They just bought a $300,000 house. They're going to be paying $2,400 a month, $2,300 a month in rent. And that's including contributing 5% a month of that money to buying the house in the future. So that was a perfect scenario of someone that said, yeah, I'll put $5,000 down and I'll do this because now I'm putting myself in a great position to buy this house in a couple of years. And I'm paying less than I was going to rent a 2-bedroom apartment. And now I have a 3-bedroom house, right? So there's certainly scenarios like that, but these are also great scenarios like we were just talking about where, Jess, my client, he says, listen, this is the 37th house we've tried to win and I'm not winning. Well, hey, what do you think about doing this, right? What do you think about having these guys buy the house and maybe you just rent it back from them for a little bit and let's see what the market does. And if we can get your credit score up over the next 3 months, or a year, maybe then we look to house from them because you can buy it at any time, right? So that's the way to be thinking about these rental programs.
So the high-end rental companies are certainly targets, right? If it were me, I would say, all right, I've got an apartment complex nearby. I know they're paying a couple grand a month in rent. There's a few hundred units in there. 10% of them are going to renew monthly. So there's 20 people that are not going to be there next month. And what if I can get 2 of those or 1 of those, right? That's a pretty good thing to start thinking. How could you target them? You could do every door direct, make sure it gets to their hands. You could put a snipe sign out saying, right, why are you paying over $2,000 in rent? I have a rent to own program with your phone number on it, right? I mean, be creative, right? Hire somebody to shove something under their windshield wipers until you get yelled at by the property manager, right? Of course, I didn't endorse that type of behavior, but somebody may do that. Listen, get the word out to your target market. That's the whole point. Is there a Facebook group for that apartment complex? Maybe you can reach out to the admin. Maybe that becomes your new best friend. Maybe that's the person you take out to lunch, right? Who knows? I don't know. Think about it. How about divorce attorneys? Do you think divorcees would be a really good market for this type of scenario? Yes, they would be. Do you think people trying to get into a certain school district that cannot buy, this might be a good option to do things in? People would like to upgrade, downgrade, side grade, whatever it may be, or even the people that have fear of the market, guys. The market's weird right now, right? It's excellent, but nobody knows when the music's going to end, right? We just don't. So when you have the super conspiracy theorists that say, I'll never buy right now, market's good, it's a bubble, it's going to pop just like this time, it's just like last time, fine. Then let some dumbass hedge fund with billions of dollars who's clearly stupid buy the house for you. And then you hedge your bet, whatever you want to do. So you've got the targets, right? It just depends on what do you do. Now, we post these on purpose. You can go to Beggins Agents, check out the things. You can just re-listen to the way Mike just eloquently described the whole programs. You should do the exact same thing on your Instagram, on your LinkedIn, on your Facebook, a version of it on a TikTok, and just get out there and tell people about the product, right? That's the whole point. Guys, 1 or 2 extra deals a month is significant in life augmentation, okay? And these are just tools for you to reach out and touch into. So that's huge.
There are a couple questions in the chat, so I'll just answer these real quick. So are there location restrictions with Divvy as difficult as they are with HPA? No, they're not. They, obviously they do have some restrictions, but not really. And what I will say, because I've done transactions with both, I have found Divvy to be far easier to work with. They're way more flexible. They're more flexible with the contract. They really want to win. They're hungry. So they will waive certain contingencies. They'll do 5-day inspections because they have their own inspectors and not like we have a third-party inspection company we work with. No, like they are their regional employed inspectors, so they can do them very, very quickly. They get the report very, very quickly. So they're doing their inspections very quick. So they'll do a 5-day inspection period. They'll do 0 day if the house is within the last 5 years of being built. So they'll do 0 day inspections, like literally no inspection, waive it completely. They'll do all sorts of things. So they'll get flexible. They'll put escalation clauses in their contract. We did that on the deal we won, and it actually resulted in us winning it. We would not have won it without it. So those types of things, right? And I didn't know if they would do it. I just asked, and the answer is yes. So they're a little bit more flexible, where Home Partners will not do that type of stuff. Home Partners is very set kind of within their parameters.
If I have a $185,000 listing coming up, should I not consider putting a sign out that says for lease to own on my sign rider? Should 100%. I mark do every door direct to that one saying, hey, 123 Any Street's coming up for sale? I also have a lease to own program or just a simple straight rental option. Call me. And then you say, yeah, I do. I've got somebody who will buy it for you and then rent it back to you. Here's how it would work. Now submit your property in, get the approval, figure it out. And now you can market to the entire world of buyers and renters and double side your deal, right? So nothing better than for you to get it approved through Divvy and or Home Partners. We don't care which one the buyer goes through. And then now you can market it as for sale or for lease to own. And then you get to double side it because you get both sides because they're your buyer.
And that's an important piece too. So I did get an email asking this actually on Friday. You get paid the full commission with both of these programs on the buy side of whatever's in the MLS. So if it's a 2.5%, 3%, whatever it is on that buy side, you get paid the full commission. There's no money that's going to Home Partners or to Divvy as part of that, right? And so keep that in mind. This is so technically, right, Home Partners and Divvy is actually your client. The renter's just the gateway. So we look at the renters being our client. The renter technically is not your client. I treat them like they are because I want that repeat and referral business. And when they go to buy the house, it's important that you build the relationship with that renter, because here's how this works. And I think this was another question in there. Do programs require a 3-year lease? So here that works. So with Divvy, you are renting, because in the state of Florida, you can only rent in 12-month increments. So they're renting in 12-month increments for up to 3 years. They can buy the house at any point within those 3 years, but at the end of those 36 months, they either have to buy the house or move out, right? Those are their options, because then Divvy's going to look to offset that asset. That's their initial plan. Now, they will extend if that's not something they want to do, so that can be negotiated, but that's their model, right? And so what I want, though, is I want to build enough rapport and build the connection in the relationship, because when Home Partners or Divvy goes to sell that property, and let's say that renter now wants to buy that home, Divvy and Home Partners treat that as a for sale by owner. So you do not get that side again now when they go to buy that house. The only way you get a commission on that deal is if you've built enough relationship with that renter and they say, hey, Mike, I want you to represent me when I go to buy this house from Home Partners, or I want you to represent me when I go to buy this house from Divvy. Great. Now on their buyer's rep, now I get paid, right? So that's super important. And obviously any person can be a referral business, which is always important. So keep that in mind. With Home Partners, it's a little different as far as their lease terms. You're same thing, you're renting in 12-month increments, but with them, it's up to 5 years. So they can buy the house at any point within the 5 years. With both of these programs, they can only do it one time. So they do not want to buy. They can't go rent again with the same program. That is not an option. You can do it one time.
Will they do new homes?
Will they buy new homes? Yes, they will buy new homes. Divvy is a little easier when it comes to buy new homes because Divvy does not require their own contract. Home Partners is trickier to buy new homes with if it's a big developer, because most of the big developers have their own contract and Home Partners will not allow it. Home Partners will only use the standard contract. So if that's the case, it's going to be a challenge and you're going to have to negotiate that. The other big issue that I personally ran into it a little bit with Home Partners was the title company. So Home Partners requires that they agree to use Home Partners' preferred title company. And if they do not agree to that, they will not do the deal. So if you have a seller that is adamant that they use their title company, that is going to be a deal breaker with Home Partners. That is not a deal breaker with Divvy. They prefer to use their title and pay for it, but if they absolutely will not, they're flexible on that and they will give that right up. Is HPA part of the reload for 35%? We do have HPA program that if you're getting a lead from us for Home Partners, then yes, there is a referral fee on that deal with Ashley and the program she's running. But if you're out generating your own, no, there is no referral fee if you're just going to client in on that. Will Divvy buy from Zillow? So yes, Divvy's open to it. They're not restricted. That is a great question though, because Home Partners absolutely will not. Home Partners will not buy from OfferPad. They will not buy from Zillow. They will not buy from any other iBuyer. It's a little tricky with Divvy because you do have to get it approved, but they will do it. They're not restricted on who the seller is. Okay. Do you know how much each program increases the buy price for the customer each year? It's all contract dependent. Most of the time, HPA is doing a 3 to 5% escalation in it every year at the 12 months. The way that Divvy does is that is a negotiated price at time of purchase. So when you go to purchase it, they'll run comps and it's a negotiated price basically between you, but you have a savings account with them as well. So it's a little different with them. Okay. I think I got them all. If HP referral and goes to Divvy, what is the split? Home Partners referral and goes to Divvy, what is the split? I think you're asking if they come in as a Home Partners referral and you end up putting them on Divvy. You want to answer that, Jeff? I mean, you're supposed to try and respect the source.
Think about this for a second. Yeah, respect the source too. If the deal comes to you from not your work and it comes to from us, expect a referral fee. If you go hunt it and find it all on your own, there's no referral fee. Pretty simple. So if it does come from Home Partners, respect the source and try to push them through Home Partners. So if they don't qualify for Home Partners or it just doesn't work for them, Ashley's going to have to jump into this. She goes, good.
Can't qualify with HP. Yeah. Why can't they qualify? That's the question, right? Because they may not qualify for Divvy either then.
Let's see. Hang on.
Here. So just keep that in mind. Now, the person I just closed on,
incoming referral, you still the referral fee regardless on how they close.
Yeah. So I did, to John's point though, one of the ones I just closed, they actually did get declined by Home Partners based on the income and then got approved through Divvy. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Yeah. So they did. And John just said they did qualify with Divvy. So listen, and you got to do what's best for the client, but to Ashley's point, it was still a company lead. So therefore, regardless of how they close, there's still a referral fee attached to it. Okay. So
wait, more in here. Hang on a second here. All right. Reload has marketing agreement with Home Partners, which flows through Reload. If they could go cash and the referral fee is owed, basically guys, just if it comes through us and you didn't generate it, just assume there's a referral fee on it. There just is a referral fee on it. If it doesn't come through us, then it's yours. That's a simple example. If they come in from Home Partners and they buy something through cash, right, it's still a company generated lead. There's a referral fee on that lead, right? And that'll be, so just know it all depends on where the source is generated from, us or you.
We'll move on to these other programs. The last thing I'll say on these guys, the one reason I personally really like this type of program is because it does serve an underserved market, right? A lot of agents, even though there's a lot of agents out there, most real estate agents are not attacking renters because there's no money in it, right? typically. So that is an underserved market. There is just as much demand there, probably more than ever, to find homes for rent because there's not inventory of those either. And the rents are skyrocketing. So in order for them to get into a program like this is super valuable to them. And most of them don't know it exists. So keep that in mind. So that's why I like it. I find there's less competition of agents. These are people that really need help. And when you can reach out with a really creative solution for them, typically that is something they find valuable. So just keep that in mind.
And let's just think the overarching picture here for a second. These guys are really not dumb, right? Especially when they have a couple of billions of dollars, right, with a B, and that's a pretty good amount of cash. If they're buying real estate right now, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a very good thing.
It's a very good thing. Now, I said this before, when they stop buying, I'll have a little turn in my stomach, right? Mm-hmm. Because it means there's some indicators that means that that's probably not a good investment, that they don't expect anticipation and growth. So therefore they'll go buy chicken futures. They have a better future there, right? So whatever the deal is. So right now, while people are buying real estate, I think you should feel very comfortable investing in real estate. So let's just look at that underlying truth there and think it's a truth because there's a lot of people doing it. So watch.
And just put it this way, right? This is all of you have a client, two clients. All of you have two clients who want to buy homes between, call it $150,000 to $550,000 in the Tampa Bay market right now, all cash with very little contingencies, and they'll close as little as 14 days. You all have two clients with billions of dollars in their account who want to buy in the Tampa Bay market, who will spend up to $550,000, who will close in as little as 14 days. You have them in you have two clients, right? I want to stress that because there's new agents watching this. They're like, I don't have any clients. Yes, you do. You have two cash buyers right now. Go to work for them.
Yes.
If I called you today as someone from your sphere and said, hey, dude, hey, so I won the lottery last night. I've got $2 billion and I'd like to buy a house. And for, I don't know, about $550,000 in Tampa Bay, but I'd really like to close in the next 14 days. I'll waive all the contingencies. Can you help me? You would say yes. You have that already, right? So just keep that in mind that you've got this in your toolbox, so go use it. And so that's how I would look at this. But we can move on to another source. One thing that I think is being underutilized, in my opinion, is our RealSure program. We don't really talk about it that much, but this is a program where if you have sellers that are getting a little antsy, and or I just look at it from a perspective of, is it valuable and to some degree to set the floor with your seller, right? So what if you brought them an offer right away? Because the way RealSure is going to work is they're going to make them a guaranteed offer. It's probably, from what I've seen, it's going to be about 12 to 15% under probably what you should get at the open market. But is it nice to be able to go to your potential seller and say, hey, I got a guaranteed offer for you, but here's how this is going to work. We're going to give you this cash offer, and the offer is going to stay good for 30 days. All I want is the opportunity to put it on the open market, and we're going to try and get you higher. At the end of 30 days, if we don't get something higher and you want to take this all cash offer, great. If you don't want to do either, great. That's okay too, right? You don't have to take it. But 30 days from now, this offer is still good. But what we're really doing is we're setting that tone because we know nothing's going to come in under this. And there's only upside, right, for at least the next 30 days. To me, that's just a logical step to take, right? Now, a lot of your listings are selling in 24 hours, but this is just something, especially if you're on the cusp of getting a listing, but for whatever reason they're struggling, this is a way to approach it. And so this is the RealSure program. It's backed by Realogy. And it's actually backed by Home Partners, but it's a Home Partners relationship with G, and they will make a guaranteed offer on most homes in the Tampa Bay market and give you 30 to 45 days. They cannot accept the offer in 30 days, right? So they, between 30 and 45 days, that offer is valid. And at the end of that period, they're hoping that you beat it on the market. They don't want to buy. This is really just a listing tool to help you get the listing, because the requirement of the program is that they have to list that home with you for 30 to 45 days, right? So that's a tool, in my opinion. I like your thoughts on it, Jeff, but that's a tool that we have that I think we don't talk about a whole lot, but I think is really underutilized.
Look, it's a tool, right? It's like in your toolbox, you get that weird hex shape, but it's not a hex shape wrench that you don't even know when you need it, and it's sitting there. This is what we just have all of this one. So this is I don't care what the price is. We just picked up this house as an estate, and it was my Uncle Joe that we never had anything. It just landed here. We just need to sell it right now. Done, right? And do it. Fine. Here's an offer. I can go get you an open door offer pad offer tonight and just buy it. But if you're really not desperate time-wise, let me give you that, shove it in your desk drawer, and let me see if I can beat it. What's the harm? It doesn't matter to you. Let's just give it an extra 45 days. Let's just see what we can do, right? It depends on the situation, guys, right? You have all kinds of opportunities here. That's what I love about this one. A real sure is, here's your guarantee, and let's go beat it, right? But if you're like, listen, I just need out, then go sell it to OfferPad or Open Door, right? That's that screwdriver. But when they don't need out, then maybe you should tell them, you may think you need out, but what's the difference? Does it really matter the difference with 2 months or a month and a half? Or if it doesn't matter, let's try it, right? First, you should just try to list it full retail and see what happens. But if they want that comfort of having a guaranteed offer, get it to them. If they want guaranteed offer with a little bit of flexibility, give them the reshore. That's the point. You just have to just know what's sitting in front of us, guys. It's unbelievable how many tools we have. There's really nothing we can't help. We can fix everything. The only thing I hope that one of them does soon, Puma, next time we talk with Divvy or maybe Ribbon, what I think a huge market is right now is going to the actual owners and selling the house to Divvy and then letting them rent it back. Right? I think that's a huge market segment that people would tap into right now. Like if you and Courtney could say, hey, well, you know what? We'll sell you our house. We think the market's not going to last. We'll pull all of our equity out and we'll pay you rent for the next 3 to 5 years till the kids are going to transfer schools. Now I'm going to cash out now. I think there's a huge market for one of them to do that. And
well,
so
technically you could.
Will they let you? Home Partners will not.
Divvy will. Divvy doesn't care. So I was having this conversation with them because it came up because Home Partners gets a little dicey, even if like you typically have to talk to them if the renter is currently renting the property that they want to Home Partners to buy, right? So I'm renting this house. The seller wants to sell this house, and I want Home Partners to buy it on my behalf and stay in this house. Home Partners it gets dicey. Sometimes they won't do that. Divvy is like, care. Qualify for the program. What house do you want to buy? As long as the house gets put on the market, right? It has to have an MLS ID. They won't buy off-market property. But as long as the property gets put on the market, and we'll try and buy it for you. We don't care. As long as you're qualified and home hits the market.
Run that scenario by them today and say, hey, I've got a client that actually owns a home and they'd like for you to buy it and they'll rent it back. And if the answer is, yeah, they'll do that, then we're going to launch a whole new marketing campaign about that, because that'll be a lot of fun. Because I think they'll be.
Get ready, Craig. we haven't thrown anything at Craig for a while. This will be fun.
It's Monday. He's got to expect something coming.
He's fine. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure they will. I'll talk to them about that. I'll reach out to our contact over there.
A little market research. Those watching right now, what would you think if they would do that? Do you think there's a market for people that would to sell back the home they're living in and hanging out? I'm just curious as a little just market research here. Molly's thinking that there is. Short term. Okay, yes, Pamela. Okay. So in our strategic market study this morning, in our focus group, we realized that there is quite a demand for this type of deal. It could definitely work. Look, it's going to work for those that it works for. Tell me there's not a group of people out there that are like, damn, I should cash out of this equity. I'm going to kick myself in the ass when the market turns, but I don't really want to move. God, what do I do? There's a big chunk of people having that conversation in their head right now. And like, man, the kids have 3 more years in this school. Imagine if we could stay here and take all the cat. Who knows, guys? I'm just talking about there's another weird shape screwdriver, Allen wrench to put into your deal. So,
yep. Cool. So the other thing is we've got renovation home loans, right?
Yep.
So this is another just opportunity to keep in mind, right? If you have clients that are struggling to find the house that they want at the price point, and they're struggling to win it, keep renovation home loans as an option, right? Because that gives them the ability to go buy something that they normally would not consider, that has probably got a little less competition on it. They can buy using a renovation home loan, then make it exactly what they want and have it all wrapped into that one mortgage. So that is a great opportunity for somebody who really wants to buy right now and wants various specific things, but is having trouble either with the price point or with competition. And so again, just another option for them to say, hey, have you considered this house over here? I know it's not what you want. I know it needs some TLC, but we've got this loan program that's actually going to roll it all. So that way, if you don't have the 50,000 in cash you need to redo that, it's not a big deal. We're going to roll that in. It's really going to break out to a couple dollars a month, probably less over the term of your loan. And you're going to get it exactly the way you want it. So you're not buying somebody else's project. You have it exactly what you want. That is a great option, right? And I think it's underutilized in a competitive market like we're seeing now. So just another tool in your toolbox. Anything to add to that one?
No, like we were chatting on our Friday call. We're talking with Cheryl. She's got a seller who the property needs some fixing up. She doesn't want to spend any money fixing it up, and that's okay, right? But our thing is, if you want to, you can. And if you don't want to, I'm not going to fight with you. Just know that I have the ability to get this thing spruced up and to get the market. And it all goes back to micro markets and how many 4 bedrooms, 3 baths are on the market that you're competing with. And here's the point. Now, this is when you guys need to just think for a second, right? If Mike and Courtney are selling their house and they come to me and they haven't updated their house since they bought it, they think it's beautiful, but it is. But if they want to go in competition, we have to see what they're competing with. True story. And if there's nothing else on the market, their no upgrades doesn't matter because there's nothing to choose from at all. So they win. The problem is when the market shifts a little and there's 3 other homes on the market that are just like their home, now they've got a decision to make. They say, okay, we're not updated. So because we're not updated, we have a problem. We're not as pretty as the other ones, so we can't command the same price. So are we okay with that? Or should we spend the money to fix up our kitchen? But if we spend the money to fix up our kitchen and we do it white coastal, what if the buyer wanted a Europe and didn't want white coastal? Now there's no value to them. And that's so you start to think about in each person's individual situations, saying, is it really worth putting that 20 grand in? 20 grand to redo the kitchen. Oh my God, that's amazing. Well, if you don't want to spend the 20 grand, I've got a program that we can actually get you the money to fix it up and you don't have to spend any of it. But right now in this marketplace, it all depends on the micro market. Is it even worth it? Do you even need to? Most likely the answer is no right now. But when the market changes, the micro market, I'm talking about the market change. I'm talking a micro price and have better features and benefits, right? Sound like our listing presentation a little bit? Yeah. So that's the point. So you got to look at that and say, all right, what do we do? Who are we competing with? And if you need to upgrade, but you don't have cash, here's my tool. That's the way to explain it.
Yeah, and I think that we actually have two other tools for that too, right? So you've got a program like Curbio. Now Curbio is proving to be a little bit more expensive than it normally would be right now. And I talked to him about it, and the main reason is subcontractors, right, are super hard to find right now, and so everything's just super expensive. But what Curbio will do, and there's others out there, I'm sure. Curbio's is biggest. Curbio will actually go in, they'll quote the job, and they will do the upgrades, they will do the repairs, and then they will get paid at closing, right? So that's certainly an option. The other option is knock. And the reason knock works is because part of the knock program is we will give you 20% of your current home's equity in cash, and you can use that cash to put down on the other home, as well as do repairs or any upgrades or fixes that you need to do on your current home. And it's at 0% interest for 6 months. So essentially I could take that money and say, you know what, I've got, that's going to give me 75 grand. Cool. I can go take that 20 grand and do these little upgrades and fixes that are going to bring more value when I go to sell this house. And then I'm going to use the rest of that as my down payment on the next house. I'm going to get pre-qualified with them. I'm going to buy it and do the whole knock program. So that's the other question. Great, Mr. Seller, where are you going? Right? Let's go find that. Let's go buy that. Here's the program I have for it. And then we're going to use this equity that you're getting at 0%. And we're going to use that money to do these $5 grand in upgrades. So it's not really costing you anything, right? And we're going to more than make that up, because now we don't have to worry about that on the inspection report. And here we go, right? So that is certainly an option as well. Just another creative approach to how you can approach a situation like that, right? Especially if they're going to buy something else, and it ties them to you on that purchase and that sale, right? So that's a great way to kind of lock in that you're gonna get at least two transactions from that client. So just another way to approach that. What else do we have? We've got 7 minutes.
I love it. How can I work absentee owners into this conversation? I was talking to an agent. I mean, this is kind of relevant. It goes back to lead gen for a second. I was talking with an agent that doesn't want to do any social media, prefers not to be very public, doesn't really want to do a whole lot of out there marketing, which is totally fine, right? Doesn't matter. I think it's great. Everything works. But if you're not going to do that, you better do something, right? So it's a newer agent that doesn't want to be actively promoted. There's problems. Okay? It's okay, but that creates a whole set of challenges, unintended consequences, right? Unanticipated consequences. So how the hell are you going to build business? If you're going to be a semi-secret agent, don't really want to be seen and don't want to put yourself out in public, what else are you going to do? So where do you think I went with that conversation? I said, you've got a couple tools. So if the only time it doesn't matter if people don't know you is if they're not here. So the only time to talk to people who aren't here is find people that don't live here. Because when they live in Trenton, New Jersey, they don't give a crap about the agent that's actively marketing in the marketplace and sends out postcards, because they just don't care. So you could intercept their world and become relevant and steal them before they even think about looking at anybody else. Now you can actually contact them and say, assuming it's under 500,000, in the 400,000 range, say, hey, Mr. Puma, I know you're living in Chicago. Yep, any real interest at all in potentially selling it? I actually have a buyer who is really wants to buy properties right now, has a ton of cash, and really needs to deploy it, and we could close before the end of the year. Is there even any remote shot that you would consider selling this piece of property? Right? Would that be a smart way to spend my time if I want a double-sided deal before the end of the year?
Yep.
Okay. And guys, that's what this is about. So you need to sit back and think, do you really want another couple of transactions by the end of the year? If the answer is yes, are you committed to getting them? And if the answer is no, then enjoy being where you are. But if the answer is yes, I'm committed to it, then get to work, right? Listen for a second, take the stuff we're talking about and go tell people about it.
If you made 30 calls to people who have extra homes right now, and the average purchase price is right in the range of where everybody's buying. So this is a huge market. And if you just were to reach out and say, quick question, I got some guys that are trying to deploy a bunch of cash by the end of the year. I see you have an extra home down here. Would you possibly consider selling it? If I did that 30, 40 times today, what do you think might happen? Right? What?
Something good.
Something would happen. I'd either get a hell yes, I'd get a no, but I might be interested in buying something when you find something else coming up, or I get a conversation happening about what's going on in the area. How are you? Right? I grow my database. So the worst thing that happens is I know somebody that I didn't know before, and they know me, and I'm trying to bring some value. So if you're sitting around saying, I really want to push, I really need to pull something else by the end of the year, I can do this. Divvy will close in 15 days. And guys, they have to spend money. They have a board of directors. It's a huge organization that is saying, spend this money. Spend it, spend it, spend it, spend it, spend it. You have to spend it. You got to get rid of this cash. Cash is trash. Put it into an equity. Put it into something. Put it into an asset. Please get it out of our bank. Please buy real estate. Please, by the end of the year, so we can book some high sales, so we can get some more money from the market and buy even more next quarter. Please, please, please. Guarantee you that conversation is happening on a Zoom call with their board right now, saying, what do you think we can deploy by the end of the year? Guarantee you. And they're saying, I don't know. Let's hope there's some agents that are hungry, would like to put an extra 10 grand in their pocket by New Year's, and maybe some of those will go to work. So the question is, are any of those you? And if it is, there's no excuses, right? Go to the website, sign up, understand the process, promote it, right? Promote it to your sphere, promote it to the market, or promote it to absentees, people who just don't live here. But no excuse, 10, 20, 30 contacts today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I promise you, you'll have a deal by Friday. Okay? You just will. And if you do this, you'll probably have 2 deals because you get double sides. So think about that. Really, your final push for the end of this year is this, guys. So I really, really, really want to see who's going to step up and do it. And I'm curious from those of you online, who gets a little spark and says, damn it, I'm going to carve off 2 hours today, and I'm going to find the people to call about this one, right? And I recommend the absentees. Recommend telling your sphere too. You better post about this on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn right now, or else that's just stupid if you don't, right? Sorry. And then if you have any extra time, call people that have extra houses, see if they might want to shovel some assets around before the end of the year. The end of the year is important because there's a lot of people that are very nervous about what's going to happen to the tax rates next year, right? And a lot of people are forcing to close and really want to push things to close before the end of the year so they have certainty, because a lot of people don't like uncertainty. That's why you're seeing the little market manipulations right now. People are kind of freaking, taking their gains, selling out, pulling cash out, and just taking their profits now so they know what their taxes are going to be, because there's threats about what's going to be next quarter, right? And next year, the next tax year. So there are a lot of people that would take advantage of this opportunity should you want to reach out and do that. So that's my little last moment push.
Yeah. My last thing I will say is, because I see in the chat a couple people have people interested in Divvy now. Great. That means that you're working it, you're talking to people. And guys, I'm here for you. I know these programs very, very well. I've closed deals with them. If you need help, reach out. If you have a client and you need me to hop on a call with you and them to answer questions and go through it with them, I'm happy to do that. Reach out to me. We can schedule that. I will hop on a call. I will answer their questions. I'll get on a Zoom with them if needed and we'll get them on board. And I'm happy to do that. I don't need any piece of your deal. There's none of that. I'm here as a resource to help you. And I've been through the pitfalls. I know what they're going to do, what they're not going to do, what's going to get approved, what's not going to get approved. So if they have questions that you can't answer, or you just feel like you need help with the sales pitch and sell them on, reach out to me. Happy to help you in any way that I can. So go get them, right? Talk about it, put the word out there. I promise you, the more you talk about these programs, the more of your sphere you're going to have reach to you, because most of them don't know it exists, and there's a lot of people who need it.
Love it. Thank you, guys. Thank you. And last question, what would you post on Facebook? Well, I got a client that has
it, Mike. You have it available to you. We literally did this post last week. So go take a look at my Facebook. You'll see it. We talked about this in the last Marketing Monday, I believe, as well. So go watch that. We literally gave you the script and the post to go make, but I literally made them and a bunch of agents used them. So
Love it. All right, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful week. What kind of week you gonna have this week?
best week ever.
Who gets to decide that?
We do. Go get it.
Love it, guys, go do it. Make this truly the best week ever. Go make some cash, have some fun, make some money. Thanks for watching.
Yes,
Bye, guys.
sir. Yeah.